Freddie, how old were you when you went into the Army? You were drafted. How old were you?
18.
And what was it like during that time?
It was just trying to make it. I did not want to go to college, or tried and didn't. I gave up on it. And I really was unsettled of what I wanted to do with my life. And when I got drafted, I thought, okay, now I can do something, maybe get myself home. As far as most of the people are against the war, Vietnam, there was a lot of riots and different things, especially at that Kent University. I don't think anybody during that time can forget how the National Guard fired on the students, which I don't agree with. The biggest, and if you didn't serve the country, then there was a lot of younger men that would leave the country. Most of them went to Canada. A lot of them would go overseas to go to college. Some would get married and have a kid. Because at that time, if you had a kid and married, they wouldn't take you at that time. With as many young people as there is in the United States. They just didn't do it. Thank you.
Joe soldier off the battlefield and said, "Hey, you want to be a dentist?"
Afterwards,
that was the same time that
it's going.
Now you scored pretty high on the test that you had to take. What did that score qualify you to do, and what did you end up doing when you went into the Army?
You take an aptitude test when you go in, and I mean it's 2 or 3 days of tests and stuff before you get to your basic training camp. I don't know exactly what my score was, but I scored extremely high in math and the recognizing, like they'd have pictures, and you'd recognize what it belonged to, what it was, like parts, motors, tools, and things like that. And then when I got through with basic training, most of the guys went on into infantry, but I was sent to Fort Lee, Virginia, at Richmond, Virginia, or outside of it, and to be trained on being like a supply clerk. It was actually more what I was doing. As you know, more of the tools, more of numbers and things like that, and I've always was good with numbers, and that was probably one of the key things that really got me there. It was a long advanced training class, like 5 months, and I enjoyed it. I scored extremely high in the class, and they offered me to stay there and learn to be an instructor with it. Nah, I don't do that. I was 18, 19 years old. I didn't do anything like that. So I ended up in the engineer company. I never did get to work what I was trained to do.
Now you went to Vietnam around the time of the Tet Offensive, the height of the war. What was it like for you?
I was there in the latter stages of Tet. The biggest thing is when we got on the plane and was flying over there. When we landed, as we're landing, I'm noticing all the older gentlemen that were in the service. taking off their badges, their medals, and their rank and stuff. And it kind of tells me, why are they doing that? And then when I'm told, you don't want that to be seen if there's any snipers out there. I said, okay. So then I was in Saigon for a day or two, and they put me on another plane, and I went down south to Guangzhou, and was assigned to an engineer depot unit. We only had like 52 guys in it, and I was to be the supply sergeant, which I did not get to do. First sergeant had me go take a test for mailman, and I ended up being the mail clerk for the company. The main reason is because the guy that I was to replace had signed up a 6 months extension in the state, and they didn't want to lose me, send me somewhere else. So that's what he did. It was, at first it was scary, but I noticed where we were at, the Vietnamese people were quite more friendly, and we could go into the city there, the Long Town area, and at least not the main part of it, not on the other side of the base towards inland. That area was restricted. We weren't, as Americans, we weren't supposed to go over in that area. But we got to go into the other area, the business areas and stuff, and it was interesting. Country was different. But you never know what's going to happen. And it took probably a month or more before I really started to relax and accept my surroundings as they were. And basically a lot of that was the guys that had been there longer would explain what to look for, what to watch out for. Everybody kind of took care of each other.
To me, he makes the most sense out of any of them.
Now, part of your job was building piers.
Yes.
Talk to me about that process.
Okay. When we were just a detachment, the first couple months I was there, we had a squad that would go out and repair, or actually part of the unit, that goes out to the piers and would fix things. And then we were changed from a depot detachment to a company. And what they did is they took the quantity of people, servicemen and machinery, and Cameron Bay left them there. They became our company, our unit. And their unit traveled down the coast, and we formed a new, and became that company because the repairs was not enough, and they had to rebuild a new pier. And I mean, it was a long old pier. I don't know how many boats they planned on doing it, but the rest of the time I was there, we worked on the same pier. We did have, and we're just building new ones, you know, it's where you drive the big telephone poles, or whatever you want to call them, the ones that are soaked in curacao. They would drive them deep into the ground and then build onto them to make the pier. And if you were in the water, when they put the new poles in, the curacao would come out. You know, it would get on you, and it'd be like a burn, like a bad sunburn. So most of the guys, they were long sleeves all the time. And that was, those that had to be in the water, yeah, they wore long sleeves.
Now, your brother served at the same time you did, and it was actually in Vietnam at the same time you were, which is quite common during that time. A lot of families, brothers, served together.
Well, the thing of it is he hadn't signed a waiver to allow him to go, which I didn't like. I wanted him not to be there because he's a Marine, but he did. And,
business.
yeah, he was up north and I was down south.
Get our own business.
You probably thought about him every day, didn't you? Wondering how he was doing.
Yes, we rode each other at least every week, and we still are very close. And until he got wounded, and I got a Red Cross notice, as I was on his list to notify, and got a letter from my mother the same day telling me about him getting wounded. At that time, he had already been shipped out of the country, but he was medevaced, and I did not know that part. I kind of freaked out. First sergeant helped me deal with the word about losing my brother being wounded. Allowed me after hours to get on the phone and kept calling different companies until we got all hooked up all the way up to north, and found out as another guy was translating back and forth from his unit, which was out in the field, to me, and he had already been shipped out to Taiwan and was in a medical hospital. And as soon as he was fixed up, he'd probably be back. So he wrote me first, so I knew where he was at. Then I can write him. We kept in contact until he got back.